Hello and welcome to the Voice of Intuition podcast. My name is Susan Jane and I believe that trusting your intuition is the best way to live your life with meaning and purpose. Each week you will hear about how you can connect, develop and trust your intuition through the wonderful array of guests we have on the show and my own personal experiences. Join me to understand how your intuition can guide you towards a life full of meaning and loving purpose. Hello and welcome to the Voice of Intuition podcast. This is the show that helps you connect with your intuitive nature. And today, I'm Susan Jane, your host for the podcast. And today we are talking to the lovely Teri Lee. Now, Teri is all about chakras. Now, I'm sure you've heard what chakras are, and you may have heard that word bantered around a little bit. We're going to go into it a little bit deeper. But what I really like about this podcast today is that what we're going to be talking about is what chakras mean as far as body awareness. What does chakras mean to us and how we can use them to our benefit? That's what I'm hoping, but we will find that out. First of all, let's welcome to the show, Teri Lee. Welcome, Teri.
Hi, Susan. It's great to be here. Thank you.
I'm looking forward to it. So we've got lots of things to ask you, but look, I'm going to just jump straight into it first of all and say and ask you who you are, how you got to where you got to, basically your A to B to where what that means, and why are we talking about chakras?
Well, let's start with how I discovered the chakras were a thing. When I was about 9 or 10 years old, my parents got interested in intuition, and they took intuitive development classes, and they came home from one of those classes and said, people have auras. There are these colors that come off of people that represent what they're feeling and how they're being inside themselves. And I looked at my dad and I said, well, yeah, Dad, duh, yours is blue. I've always seen those things. So for me, auras were natural and normal, but then my parents were getting curious about it. So in my childhood, from 9 until 19, living with my parents, we played, what do you see in this person's aura? And because for me, as I see them, the aura is like the light that emanates off the light bulb. And the chakra itself is the light bulb. So my entire childhood was just playing with that as if it was a game we did at grocery stores and in lines and wherever we were out in the world. What shifted for me and made it a career was in my 20s, I started practicing yoga. And when I started practicing yoga, I went to a class with mirrors. And when I saw what I saw in the energies of the students and how they changed and shifted by how they changed and shifted their bodies and their postures, it really landed for me that, oh, this is significant. How you move your body really indicates how your energy and your chakras function. And then I got deeper into it by studying how the words of the yoga teacher hit the language, the bodies of the people, and changed their energy that way. So I got really into words and language and mind. So the mind aspect of the words and language, the body aspect of the postures, and the chakra aspect of the energy. I put that all together, mind, body, spirit, and you breathe the chakras. So I have been working for my whole life reading chakras, but I've been working one-on-one with clients since 2005. And so that's over almost 20 years. 18 years of working with clients.
Wow. And I love how you've explained that, because it makes so much sense and it's so easy to visualize, like the chakras being the light bulb and the auras being what's emanating from that. That's amazing. That really hits home. I love that.
The light bulb.
Yeah, no, I had an aha moment just then. And look, and I mean, I know chakras. I don't know auras. I have an understanding of all that. But to know it in that context, to look at it in that way, it's a beautiful way to express it. I really like that, because I know that they're energy centers and they're swelling and they're doing this, but to see it as a light bulb, no, that resonates better with me than any other way. So I love that. All right, so let's talk about, so you've been doing this for a long time, obviously. You started very, very young, and I love the concept of going, having that game and saying, okay, so what's in that person's aura, or what's going on there. I don't feel you're being intrusive, because you're not approaching the person and saying, oh, you've got this happening, you've got that happening, which has happened. I have gone to shows where I have had people do that, and I sort of think to myself, that's really intrusive. Back off, because I did not ask for it. If I've paid for a reading or something like that, then I expect you to jump in and have a look. But to do that externally, just to practice and to get your way through it, I mean, it's a wonderful idea. But to also embrace that and then take it further into yoga and into body movement. I have not had anybody talk about anything like this on the show. We've talked about chakras, we've talked about yoga, but this beautiful synergy of bringing them together is gorgeous. So I've got lots of questions we're going to ask. Okay. So the first thing I want to do is, you've explained a little bit about chakras, but can you go through them again for us, or give us an understanding, so we have a visual of them now? But why are they there? What are they doing?
So I consider the chakras really an element of your nervous system. So your nervous system is constructed of your brain and your spinal cord and all these wires of nerves that come out of your spinal cord. And it's a communication between your mind and your body, of stimuli coming in through your body and messages that your brain is trying to communicate with your body. And every time your nerve crosses another nerve, there's many, many nerve wires. They're electrical wires. It's your electrical wiring system in your body. Every time a nerve crosses another nerve, there's a chakra. That chakra, that intersection of the nerves, is where the message can come in and reorganize itself. And it's the communication between your brain and your body. So the 7 major chakras, there are 72 million in your body of those intersections of nerves. But the 7 main ones that live from your brain down your spinal cord are where there's the biggest intersections of many nerves coming together and branching out. And where those intersections live, those 7 major intersections, all govern a different part of your body structure. And so if you look at it that way, from a scientific perspective, of your chakras really are just your nervous system. And your nervous system is about how your brain and your body communicate with each other. And if your intuition is really all that wisdom in your nervous system, because your nervous system is a collective filing cabinet of every stimuli, every experience, every memory of your entire life, plus every coding of your genetics, all your DNA, and all the memories and the wisdom of all your ancestors, all kept in your nerves. And that communication and how that all talks to each other through your brain and your body and gets you to function in your everyday life. So that's what I see the chakras as.
Okay, so when people talk about them, they talk about different colors, we're talking about different aspects to them, we're talking about different areas of them. Can we run through those 7 main areas that you were talking about?
Yes. So again, we'll look at it from a very scientific perspective. There are 7 chakras. And so this picture behind me starts the first couple. This is the root chakra and the sacral chakra. And the root chakra, let's go through systematically. The root chakra lives at the base of your spine, and it connects all the nerves that go down your legs and feet. So if you think about, what is the purpose of your legs and feet? What do they do for you? Well, your legs are what you stand on. Thinking back to the language and the idioms and phrases we use about our legs and feet, it's something to stand on. It's your support. It's your foundation. It's your basic connection to all your basic needs. And so anytime you have a disruption or an imbalance in your basic needs, your food, your water, your shelter, the roots that you stand on in your life and getting all your nourishment, that's going to upset your root chakra and all the communication happening within your root chakra. Then we move up to the sacral chakra, which lives in your pelvis. And inside your pelvis is all these organs that hold and let go. Think about it. You've got your bladder, which holds onto your urine until it's time to let it go. You've got your lower intestine and your anus and your colon, and that holds onto your poop until it's time to let it go. For women, in your sacral chakra is your uterus, which holds on to the menses and the menstrual cycle until it's time to let it go, or it holds on to the baby until it's time to let it go. For men, there's the sexual juices in the semen, and it holds on to that until it's time to ejaculate and let it go. So your sacral chakra is about that balance in your life of holding on to stuff for the right amount of time and letting go when it's time to let go. Often in life, the sacral chakra is about holding on to responsibility and the things we have to do and all those tasks and things we have to get done in our grip. And then once we let go of those, we go into play and enjoy and like play and joy and fun stuff, which is letting go. So the sacral chakra is about holding on and letting go. Then moving up to the core chakra, which lives in your belly. And that's where all the nerves connect to your digestive organs. Well, what do your digestive organs do for you? Your digestive organs help you determine what is good for you. I'm going to take all this food, I'm going to break it down, and I decide this is a nutrient that I want to keep and embody into me as part of me. And the rest is something I'm going to decide is waste and push through and eventually let go through the sacral and the root chakra. So your digestive body is about deciding this is good for me, this is not. And so it really has to do with that identity of this works for me, this does not. And so when your core chakra has an imbalance, it's because you're accepting things like you're eating things that aren't good for you in your life, or you're eating too much of something, or you're not getting enough of something that you need in your life. And so your core chakra about that digesting of life. And we move up to your heart chakra. Your heart chakra, inside that lives your lungs and your heart. And then branching out from that is your arms and your elbows and your hands and your wrists. And what do we do with all those things? Well, your heart and lungs, all day long, they're taking in and giving out, giving and receiving. And we're connecting that with how we engage with other people and the world around us by giving with our hands and taking in with our hands, hugging and pushing away. And so the heart chakra is about that balance of giving and receiving. Am I giving too much and not receiving enough? Am I breathing out more than I'm breathing in? Is my heart not balanced in its taking in of the oxygen and letting go of the oxygen, taking in of the blood and letting go of the blood? So it goes back to that same kind of concept of the sacral chakra, where there's a balance of holding on and letting go. But in the heart chakra, it's not about holding on and letting go. It's about that free flowing of taking in and releasing in constant balance. Moving up to your throat chakra, your throat is about communication and expression. Well, there's two sides of communication and expression. This is the channel between your brain, your head, and your body. All things must go through this communication tunnel of your neck and your throat. And this is where we speak, but it's also where we listen. So the balance of the throat chakra is about, are you listening or are you speaking? And do you have a good balance of taking in information, thinking about it, and speaking out information and engaging with it? And so really the throat chakra is about communication. And moving up to the third eye chakra, which is often considered the center of intuition, but really the intuition is about all the chakras and the ability to work through your nerves and communicate effectively through all your nerves. But your third eye is where you have your five senses. Your sight, your touch, your taste, your smell, and your sound all comes in through your face, your ears, your eyes, your nose, and your mouth. Those all merge in your sinus cavity. And inside your sinus cavity is where your five senses become one. And that is your sixth sense, because it's taking in the outside world in all these sensory ways and then sending that message into the brain and through the nervous system to determine, what do I do with this? And the senses then have that instinct, because the instinct or the intuitive side of it is understanding how to respond to something, some stimuli that comes in, responding by instantly activating all that wisdom of your DNA and your history that lives in all of your nervous system. And lastly, we get to your crown chakra, which lives in your brain. And your brain really is the governor of everything. So this is your connection of all of the functions of your body and all of those metaphoric, symbolic purposes of the body parts working together in your nerves to communicate your brain to your body and your body to your brain. So as we think about the chakras and intuition, when you become very mindful and aware of what's going on with your body, hey, something's going on with my foot. Well, that's a root chakra thing. And if you can feel specifically what that is and speak to it on a metaphoric and nervous system level, and you get your brain and your nerves to talk to each other, you can access all that history of your DNA and your genetics and your history and your experiences, and you can respond appropriately. So, but if your nerves are just like electronic wiring and they get their wires crossed, things don't work. So your chakras are those intersections that you want to have them balanced and working so that they can turn up and turn down to receive the impulses and have proper communication on those nerve wirings. That was a lot.
I love it. I love it. That's, yeah. And how you've walked through it and stepped through it, it makes sense. I like that logical aspect to it. It just allows you to sort of get that understanding and know how to go forward. So you've talked about those areas, the chakras, and we've got an understanding of what each area means, what it's all about. How is that helping us? How does that, like, I know you briefly talked about it later on in the higher chakras, but how is that helping us being aware of those chakras?
So the key is you want your brain, your mind, to communicate with your body, because your body will have these instinctual reactions to things. Your body will feel something before you can cognitively, intellectually figure out what that means. And if your brain and your body are communicating effectively, then you can respond appropriately rather than out of fear or anxiety or other types of confused emotion. And mindfulness is that key. So if you are very clear in how you stand, say on your root chakra, on your feet, and your brain has a good clear path from your brain through your nerves, through all 7 chakras down into your feet, and you are standing solid and clearly on your feet in the right postural way, you're unkinking any of those hoses, you're uncrossing any of those wires and getting effective communication through your whole body. And you can access all that wisdom about your basic needs and what your body needs and how to function in times of safety or security, which is what the root chakra is about. So for example, you're walking down the street in a very place you don't know, it's shady community, it could be criminal, it could be dangerous. You need your root chakra to be high alert. You need your root chakra to really turn up, and your brain and your root chakra talking to each other to make you stay safe, to make you aware of any potential dangers that are around you. So you need your brain to be able to tell your root chakra, okay, we got to be awake and alive here because there might be a danger around the corner. But if you're at home, snuggled in, doors are locked, everything's safe, and you're watching Netflix and chill, you do not need your root chakra to be on high alert because there's not as many dangers. And so you need to be able to exercise and calibrate your chakra to function where it needs to be. You need it to be able to turn up in dangerous zones and turn down when you're not dangerous. PTSD is when it turns up when you're in a safe place and it's not functioning and those wires are crossed. And then that makes you have not as fulfilling of a life, not as freeing of a life. And I won't go through all 7 chakras again, but to give you another idea, the sacral chakra about holding on and letting go. If you have a good balance and your brain is communicating with your sacral chakra, you know this is time to be responsible, buckle down, get things done, be very controlling and methodical about organizing things in their right place. But then shut the laptop, work is over, put that away. Now it's time to play Your brain can tell your body, now it's time to play. I can let go of those things. I don't have to think about work. I can go enjoy Netflix and chill with my partner. And I don't have to be all anxious and worried about this stuff. I can actually let that go and be in this moment. Same thing happens for every one of the chakras. You have that clear communication between your brain and your body if you are body aware. And part of that body awareness comes from clearing those pathways. And the way to clear those pathways is posture and mental intention and focused breath.
Okay, so before we go into that side of it, because I do want to talk about that side of it, and if you want to connect with Teri too, her website is terileigh.com. So it's Teri, Teri, and then Leigh, Leigh. So just drop that in because the people that are listening won't see my little ticker tape going across the bottom. But before we go in there, they do talk about blocked chakras, or your chakras blocked, or your chakras. There's other terminology that they use when they say that your chakra isn't working properly or isn't functioning properly, or your chakra's small, or this chakra's big, and they refer to it in that sort of context. What does it mean to have a blocked chakra, or how do we block those chakras? What does it mean to have a blocked chakra? I want to talk about that. Then I want to talk about how we can help move that. But first of all, blocked. What does that mean?
I don't believe in the word blocked, because if you think of your nerves, if a nerve is blocked, that means that there is absolutely no energy getting down to that body part, and it's dead. So blocked really means dead, which isn't the case. Even in people who have spinal cord injuries, their body parts still have energy flow down there. Their body parts are still alive. So that there's really no such thing as a blocked chakra. Think of it more like a traffic circle where there's a whole bunch of cars coming in and there's a whole bunch of cars moving around and moving back out through that traffic circle to different branches and spokes off that traffic circle. That's what a chakra is. And so if it's quote unquote blocked, it's just that traffic circle is not moving as efficiently as it could. There's not enough flow to get the messages or the cars to move through that chakra in the right and perfect way. Remembering that the chakras are about communication, the message from your brain to your body and from your body back to your brain. And the chakra itself is a place where those messages can reorganize themselves and go in two different directions. So if messages are getting into the chakra and there's so much confusion and too much going on in that chakra, then that's going to disorganize the messages and mix the messages up and cross the wires and make things not move efficiently through your whole system. And you're going to lose that touch with your intuition. But if you work with aligning and balancing your chakras, then you can have that clear pathway where the car message comes from your brain down into the chakra. It moves smoothly through the traffic circle and it goes smoothly back through all the different nerves that it needs to get to.
Okay, yeah, and it was restricted, and not just blocked, it was restricted, and there's a few others that they use that terminology. That makes sense too. In Australia, we call them roundabouts.
Yes.
Roundabouts, yeah. So how does this area get blocked? Like when we're talking about the chakras, how does that area become, you just said we don't talk about blocked. How does
it get out of balance?
Become restricted, or how does it become confused? I guess is more the words.
Just in the same way that a roundabout gets congested. If there are too many messages coming in at once and there's too much happening in that chakra, it's going to be congested and the messages then are going to have a hard time getting to where they need to go. In the same light, if there's not enough messages coming through, it's going to slow it down also. So, and that's a little different than a roundabout circle. But we want that just right balance, kind of like Goldilocks. We not too much and not too little. You need the just right amount of messages and information coming in and moving through the chakras to get to where they need to go. And the way to calibrate that is what we need to look at, because it's about what's going on in the moment. If you are in a dangerous situation, there's going to be a lot more stimuli and there's going to be a lot more action and energy going on in that chakra. And it needs to turn up its speed and turn up its ability to process all that information. But if it's on high speed and there's only a couple of small messages coming in because you're Netflixing and chilling, it's not going to function so well, because that high speed isn't going to get those messages in an efficient way to where they need to go. It's almost going to speed them by too fast. And that's almost like you're triggering with a PTSD. So you want to have that ability for your chakras to adjust themselves to the circumstances of what's going on around you. And so you take in those messages and you've got to adjust. You've got to say, I got to turn up this chakra and I got to turn down this one, depending on what's happening.
So when you're saying that, I guess where I'm going is when we're talking about it's the conjunction of the nerves and that sort of side to it. When you're talking about chakras being restricted or needing more movement or more flow to go through, you're talking about how we're going forward. I guess I want to know is, if my chakra is restricted, in one of my chakras is restricted, what is that looking like for me? Like, how have I created that restriction? I know we're going to be talking about how to move through that, and we're going to look at body awareness. But I guess where I want to go is to connect with the people that are listening and sort of go, if this has happened to you, this could have created a restriction in this chakra. Does that make sense to you, Teri?
Yes. And there are so many different ways it can manifest. But really, the bottom line is it manifests in dysfunction. So that dysfunction could be in terms of, I'm becoming a hoarder. I'm holding on to too much stuff in my life. I'm holding on to too many emotions in my life. I'm holding on to old resentments. I'm holding on to my skinny jeans in my closet. All of those are examples. Like, that is one example of a sacral chakra being overly focused on the holding on side of it and not focused enough on the letting go side of it. So if you look at every chakra, there's going to be some sort of patterns and behaviors that will manifest in dysfunction. So another example, your heart chakra. If you are an over-giving person and you take care of everybody else and you never take care of yourself and you don't let other people take care of you, it gets exhausting, it gets depleting. And that will manifest in your life as, when you need people to care for you, they're not there because you've trained them not to be there, because your heart chakra has said, no, I take care of you, you don't take care of me. So that kind of dysfunction happens in how you function in life. It can also manifest in actual physical breakdowns. So another example of that heart chakra, where you take care of everybody else and you don't take care of yourself, can actually manifest in heart disease or in lung issues like asthma. And there are so many different ways that it can manifest. I can't run down through all of them right now. We'd be here for many, many months. But pick up my book, The Goldilocks Principle, and I give you many of the conditions that people deal with that are signs of chakra imbalance in your life.
Cool.
But virtually every dysfunction you have in your life can be pinpointed to one of your chakras being imbalanced in some way or another. And if you find that balance, you can alleviate that dysfunction in your life.
Yes, that's exactly what I wanted you to say. Thank you so much. Because we can talk about the mindset things and the emotional things and different, but sometimes we need to really, like you say, it's mind, body, spirit. We need to ground it. So, having that imbalance in the heart chakra can create these diseases and problems like that. I struggle with a bit of sinus. I get the sinus thing happening. And when you're talking about, the third eye chakra coming in, and that's affecting the sinuses, that's when I start to go, right, okay, I've not looked at it in that way. I've looked at chakras in other ways. So that starts to resonate and make sense. So yeah, I wanted to bring that forward, because people don't realize that these physical ailments that they're experiencing can be eased or even resolved when we start to do this sort of work, when we start to really look and do this work. So I wanted to really bring that forward. But you did mention your book too, and I want to talk about that. So, but not yet. I'm going to talk about that soon. But I've just got it going on the ticker tape, which is the Goldilocks principle, and I love that understanding of it. Not too much, not enough. It just makes sense. And it's a practical guide to the chakras. So it's going to be more real hands-on, one of those books that I love that you actually learning from, because I'm a bit of a, forever learner. But now we've talked about the problems. We've talked about all the chakras. We know we have an understanding of that, or not all the chakras, because there's how many?
72 million.
72 million. So we're not going to be talking about all of them. The 7 main chakras we've talked about, understand how the blockages work. Now I want to talk about this body awareness, because that to me is how people can go forward and how they can connect with you to help them go forward. So what is it that this body awareness is all about and how it can help us?
So once you understand what the chakras are, and you realize that when you balance them, everything in your life can find better function and better ease, because the communication between the brain and the body is working. The way you want to open that brain and body communication is to get your brain paying attention to how your body is working in those body parts. And the best way to do that is simply to align your nerves in the most direct line from your brain to your body, those electrical wires. And if those electrical wires are clear without getting all twisted and knotted and confused, everything functions better. So systematically, if you were to learn how to plant your feet in the right and most ideal posture for your specific body, in your posture that feels best in your body, that will open up your root chakra so that it communicates really well. And your brain is paying attention to all the nerves and all the sensations and all the feelings all the way down to the bottom parts of your feet, and really being clear of, this feels like this feels like this feels like this. And if I shift it this way, it changes in different ways. So just becoming very aware of your brain paying attention to how your body feels in different positions and finding the right and best position for you in each of the 7 chakras. And once you get to really exercise and feel, oh, if I change my shoulder this way, I get this feeling. And if I change it this way, I get this feeling. And which one feels like everything is more flowing and more open. And so when I work with my clients, I teach them a systematic way to learn and pay attention to all the sensations in all the different body parts and get their brain listening to the nerves and opening those channels between the brain and the nerves and how they are communicating through the chakras.
Okay, so so you explained that. That's really cool. So that we're getting this understanding that we've got to have this all flowing, and we've got the body awareness. How are you doing this? And I don't want to get into IP or your intellectual property or anything like that. It's more about that basic understanding. So how are you doing this? You're doing this through yoga poses? Are you doing this through one-on-one? Obviously, it's one-on-one mentoring or mentoring in some way. But how do you actually help people in this context?
I have a system I've created called the Mosey method. It is based on yoga, but yoga is not accessible to the mass population. Yoga takes half an hour to get to class, an hour to an hour and a half of class, and half an hour to get home. And then you got to shower. It takes up a huge chunk of life. And if you are even more practiced, maybe it can be 30 or 60 minutes, but still that's 30, 60 minutes that you put aside from your regular day. And the nervous system really functions best when it's something that you can infuse in all day, everyday type patterns and behaviors. The nervous system changes habits by making those things really consistent, regular habits that you do many times throughout the day. So I've created a system I call the Mosey method, where you learn a different physical posture exercise for every one of the 7 chakras. And you pay attention to that posture exercise, getting your brain to listen to that body part by standing this way, by aligning your pelvis this way, by engaging your core muscles this way, by rotating and engaging your shoulders and your chest and your arms in a certain way, and so forth on up through the 7 chakras. once you learn those body positions and you get your brain really paying attention to those body positions, you can activate those body positions in seconds. And once you have that body position in place, what happens magically is if you link a specific thought, that thought being the message that you're sending from your brain to that body part. So if you link a very specific affirmation, for example, to your heart chakra is about being open and connected with other people and balanced giving and receiving. And if you're one of those people who doesn't tend to want to receive, you take care of everybody else, but you don't take care of yourself and you don't let others take care of you. If you link the thought, I am receiving, to an inhaling breath, which takes in, to a very specific opening action in your body position in your chest and shoulders, putting your lungs in a position where they can take in more air, putting your breath in a position where it is taking in more air, and you're thinking the message, I am receiving, you're teaching your whole nervous system to be a receiving soul. Because over your entire life until then, you were a giving soul, not a receiving soul. And if you start shifting that by doing that body action with that mental intention, with that inhaling breath 30 times a day, over many different types of things you're doing in your day, you're teaching yourself to become a receiver rather than to only give. And that will balance out your heart chakra. So when people work with me, I teach them the 7 systematic exercises from the root up to the crown, those body actions. I help them cultivate a very specific personalized affirmation or that message that they're sending to that body part. And I teach them a very specific personalized breathwork exercise to match with that. And really it's body, action, mind, intention and affirmation, spirit, breath that you do in 30 seconds or less, and you do 30 times a day, and that becomes your new normal. And it tells your chakra, this is a new way of functioning. And it calibrates it and exercises it in that right and perfect communication between your brain and your body.
Oh, wow. I love that. That's amazing. And it's so simple, but so hard in other ways. I know that sounds strange, but it's hard sometimes just to give yourself that time to do that. People have trouble giving themselves the time to go to yoga, but to take it on board like that and then get that habit. And one of the things I learned with you at university, it's that habit that we need to change. And once we start getting that habit, it becomes the norm, like you say, the new normal. Right. But the trouble is that we don't know the habit, and you're giving them a new habit that allows them to adjust and create a whole new world for them, a whole new life.
And what's really magic about this is that this little habit has a pervasive effect on the whole system. So you could do this little habit on your sacral chakra, and the next thing you know, you're doing this little body Mosey method exercise 20 times a day about your sacral chakra. The next thing you know, you're getting rid of stuff that you've been hoarding for years. You're letting go of resentments that you've held in your heart and your mind for decades. It's just melting away without you even having to try, because the nervous system has shifted and changed on a fundamental base level. And then everything's functional and better.
Yeah, it just sort of flows from there, doesn't it? Yeah, I really like that. So when you're talking about the different things like that, Teri, what are some of the clients that you've had? Don't know personal details, but some of the clients that you've had and how you've helped them. So what has their issues been, and how have you helped them get through that?
I tend to work with clients who are dealing with major life issues, major life changes. So a great example is a client of mine who came to me and she was having challenge in her marriage. And within the first 2 chakras, she started to recognize her husband had decided the marriage was over and she wasn't letting go of it. And by the time we got through the sacral chakra, which is holding on and letting go, she realized the husband was gone, so she could let go of the marriage as well. And then we walked through the rest of the chakras working on the process of divorce and extricating herself from that identity of being a married person to this spouse to finding her new normal self without this spouse and embracing who that is and recognizing the old habits and patterns that she had in that marriage that were not functional for her. And then as she moved forward and got through the divorce, she's recognizing new relationships, not just in partnership, but friendships and family relationships and coworker relationships. She's establishing better boundaries with them. All of these things are happening as a side effect and a result of doing these 7 major chakra exercises and linking that very general intention of coming back to her center of self from that. And so she walked through divorce. I've walked through with clients the process of grief, dealing with the loss of someone in their life, or with empty nest, or with quitting a job or losing a job, or even starting a new business. So any kind of major life event is a total restructuring of the chakras. And if you do that restructuring very mindfully, you can take it almost like a time that you get to clean out everything and start with a new, fresh way of living your life in a much more functional pattern.
Wow. Okay, so I had something else can ask you, and now I've forgotten what it was. Oh, damn. I like. Oh, that's right. I know what it was. So you're helping the lady that you're helping through with the divorce. How long did that take? Like what? Because look, I went through divorce. It probably took me 100 years to get through it all, to get the understanding of it. We didn't in those days. We didn't have podcasts. We didn't have access to the internet where you could learn and get these understandings. So I mean, it's amazing that people can go through these things, and you've got so much support and help. And it's not just support and help in the local area, it's support and help from overseas people and stuff like this, which I really love. How long did it take for this lady to sort of get through this process? And I'm not saying that she's 100% fixed, because there's always learnings to do. But what sort of a time frame are you looking at? Oh, and I'm nearly running out of time too, so it'll have to be quick.
In her case, it was about 9 months from the beginning of my marriage isn't working, how do I fix it, to getting to the point where she's releasing the marriage and getting really excited about her future life being not married to this man. That took about 9 months to get through all of the 7 chakras. And typically clients go through with me on an every other week or once a month session to get each chakra to calibrate, working 1 chakra per session. It really depends on the client and what baggage they bring and what challenges they have. Some clients bring many issues, not just divorce, but then they have to move their home and they quit their job and their family relationships are decaying as well. So there's often, when there's more issues, it takes longer, but it really just depends on the client and how self-aware they are and how fast they do their homework.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. But I like the fact that it is, I mean, I don't like it too. These instant changes aren't instant. They just don't last. Whereas when you're talking about a period like that, even if you're talking about 1 month per chakra, to me, that gives you a beautiful way of changing those behaviors and starting a whole new realm with it, a whole new life with it. So that is wonderful. But I do have to say goodbye because we are getting low on time. Is there any last words that you'd like to say before you go?
I would just like to encourage people to go to my website, terilee.com. I work both one-on-one with clients through very personal issues like that. And I also offer a group program, a mastermind that runs January through September every year. And I cap that at 15 people. So it becomes 15 people going through major life changes in community, supporting each other, learning the same process of getting brain body aware through their chakras and communicating and enjoying each other in that change process and supporting each other. I also have online courses that you can do self-study on your own in your pajamas at 3 a.m. if you want.
That may be quite appealing. Thank you so much, Teri, for being on the show. It was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Thank you for inviting me. I had a wonderful time.
Now, stay there. Don't move. I'll be back in a sec. Hang on. I'll remove that one. So, guys, jump onto the website and have a look. It's really interesting. I love how she sort of explains it, how Teri explains it, and it's step by step. It's a process that is doable. You know, sometimes there's processes there that are really out there, and it can be a little bit overpowering. But this, when you think about it, you're sort of just doing 7 steps. Yes, there's other stuff there. There's other things going on, but it makes it doable when you can just step through it one bit at a time. So have a look at the website. Join mine, share, subscribe, like the podcast. I would be very appreciative. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Jump onto my website, intuitivenature.com.au, help you to start to really connect with your intuition and learn how to trust that and go forward with that. I am Susan Jane. I'm finding the right buttons. I will see you all next week. I'll say bye for now. Okay, have a great week. Bye for now.